Welcome to Podcasters of America, the voice of America's small business. I'm your host, Jon Sanchez, joined by two very, very special guests. First of all, my daughter, Bailey Sanchez, Director of Marketing for Sanchez Capital Management, and a serial entrepreneur like her old man. Our special guest, our reason that we're here this afternoon is being joined by another extremely special guest, another family member. What do you know? This is the Sanchez Show. Dr. Dennis Sanchez, my brother, the AI doctor. Bro, it's great to have you on Podcasters of America. How are you doing today?
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, folks, we're going to get right into this because this is a topic that is extremely timely right now. And the topic is very simple. How to become a solopreneur. Solopreneur using AI. Now, what do we mean by that, Dennis? What the heck is this term solopreneur? Define that real quick.
And I'm going to add one more adjective in front of that, an AI solopreneur.
More importantly.
Because, and I think that's going to really be the name that everybody uses, just because it's AI that's enabling people working for themselves without having other employees and, a really lean model.
Yes.
That's, it's making it possible. And that's why this explosion. There's so many new businesses starting every day. I think we read something like that as the average every month of new businesses. I mean, that's got to be, historical.
Becoming more integrated into life now. Life, work, social media.
Yeah, you're right,
everything.
Bailey. It's personal, it's business, it's impacting every area of our life. And, if you haven't listened to any of our other podcasts, just know where we come from on this. And that is, we, in our heart of hearts, all three of us are entrepreneurs. And that is, we believe in our heart of hearts that if you don't adopt AI in both your personal, but we're going to focus on the business side. If you don't adopt AI in your business side, you very well likely could find yourself out of a job. You've all heard the statistics of how many corporations, big and small, that are reducing the size of their workforce because AI is taking over, right? And remember, the biggest expense that a business has, I don't care if it's a mom and pop or a Fortune 500 company, is payroll, personnel, right? So anytime a corporation or a business can look at ways to, reduce that payroll, that biggest expense, they're going to do it. Now, one thing, of course, with Dennis's background that we'll get into in another podcast, Dennis working with big and small businesses, one of the biggest challenges that you came across in your years of consulting to these large companies and cities and counties and states, et cetera, governments, is they know, hey, we know we need to implement AI, but we don't know how to get the employees to buy into it. So that'll be another podcast we do down the road. But I think that's why this is so important, the solopreneur using AI topic today.
And I think it's one thing to be said too, not to interrupt you. Dad, at least I know you and I don't like to dip into technology where I know it's learning so much about me. And I know that's what AI, ChatGPT is. And this is something that I have confidently adopted and had to in my life. So just a disclaimer to everyone. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of anyone having their fingers in whatever I'm typing all day long. And it still has become a source that I use every day.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people are worried about that, but it is what it is.
That's exactly
Well, another
right.
point, just talking about the challenges that big organizations are having bringing AI into their organizations too. This isn't, everybody's going through this and everybody's learning. When I say everybody, businesses of all sizes, but there's one group that can move more quickly, that can adapt more quickly and can innovate more quickly. And that's the solo entrepreneur who isn't burdened. And I know from working with these large organizations, especially if you're talking about government, with their budgeting, they don't even get the technology. They probably get it 6 months later, a year later, because of the budgeting after everybody else. So they're behind the curve all the time, but it's just difficult for big businesses to make changes quickly. And that's our advantage.
Yes,
And
that's
probably,
exactly right.
do you see a lot, especially working with government agencies, not to put an umbrella over all of it, but it's probably a lot older demographic of employees, right?
Yeah, I would say it's the age part, the maturity part is not just the people, but it's typically the departments that are actually where AI is coming into an organization. It's usually going in through, and most commonly through their IT group, which is one of the most conservative groups in any
Yes.
organization, having to be, because they're thinking about data security, yeah, things like that. Well, you bringing AI into their organization was a wake-up call, and they're still not comfortable with it. But you can handle those things and adjust more quickly if you're small, and it's just easier. And so I think America's future lies in the hands of those that can move quickly, adapt, and embrace the opportunities.
Yeah. And I
Absolutely.
only mention that too because if they can learn it, anybody can learn it
Oh,
working
yeah.
with an older demographic,
Oh,
let
no.
alone in
Let's be
such a
careful with that one.
let alone in a security
Hey, we have 3
tight.
generations.
We'll have a whole session on neuroplasticity in our brains because it has nothing to do with age.
Okay, you're too smart with
The
psychology.
key is to keep using the brain, no matter how
Yeah.
old you are,
Yes,
even if you're
absolutely.
young, because there's a lot of young people that aren't
Bailey, ask Uncle
embracing it.
Dennis what his dissertation was on.
We'll get there when we get there. He's already talking over my head right now. Let's get back to marketing, huh?
You got it. Let's get back to starting a business. Well, those of you that listen to my radio show, and you can find the show, the Jon Sanchez show, on all your favorite podcast distributors. I have said over and over again, till I'm blue in the face, that there is no, and I mean absolutely no better time to become an entrepreneur than right now, thanks to the advent of AI. I have started and I've run over 23 businesses. I'm 61 years old. I started my first business at 19, a little gardening business that ballooned into a massive landscaping business, and all different types of businesses in between. Currently, how many businesses do we run, Bailey? 5 or so? 6?
That's minimal. Yeah,
Yeah, minimal.
something along that line.
And what AI has done for me as the CEO of these businesses, for Bailey, she and her sibling are partners in a massive rodeo called the Douglas County Rodeo in Gardnerville, Nevada, and all Bailey's different businesses. Now Dennis's business is the AI doctor. What AI has done for all of us is revolutionary. Literally, what used to take weeks, months, sometimes years to form a business, to create a business, to write your business, to do it correctly, right? To write the business plan, which entails a SWOT analysis. It entails a marketing plan. It entails pro forma financials. It entails everything that you should have in a business plan. That used to take, again, an absurd amount of time and energy. And as many businesses, guys, that I have started and you have started, Bailey, um, it's an art to write a business plan. And you've got two options. You can write this big, 2 to 300 page business plan, which I call, it's not worth the paper that it's written on, because you're writing this business plan when you're basically in the formation stage of the business, right? It's just an idea. It's a dream. I promise you, within a couple days of you running this business, you're already going to need to change that business plan because what you put down on paper and many times does not come true. So you spent all that time writing it, and now it's not worth the paper that it's written on. Now with AI, you can change in a moment's notice. If you're thinking, hey, I want to go after this target market, guess what? And that didn't work out. You put that into AI in your business plan, and it does an immediate transition over to the new target market that you have. That's just one example. So we can all speak, from the heart, how AI is transformed. Dennis, I think what we should do, let's just spend a little bit of time, talking about how AI,
Yeah.
how we use it currently in our businesses, and why we think this is one of the best times in our mankind timehood to start a business. Bailey, I'll start with you. How do you use AI now in your roles as a marketing director and an entrepreneur?
I would say that AI is probably helping me do the job of 3 marketing directors in one. Just for the marketing side for your brokerage, I'm having it write all of my social media posts. Again, this is having a human behind it, making sure it makes sense. It
Understand, yeah.
doesn't sound like a robot, but it is writing my posts for me. It's summarizing the transcripts from your radio show so I can put out blogs onto our website. I had even with another business that all 3 of us are working on that we'll talk about at a different time. It took all of our competitors, how I want to implement something into my business, what our competitors are doing, and how I can be different from those competitors as well. Created an entire chart of how I can execute that with different types of software, and an action plan on how to do that. So it is taken hours of work and transformed it into about 20 minutes of research.
Right.
It's changed everything for me. It's even creating graphics for me on ChatGPT. There's different, they're called custom GPTs, almost like an agent in a sense, right? And people build different ones for different uses. And I can go in there and say, hey, I need to make a flyer for this event or this post. I give it my brand colors and even the fonts that I want, and it will spit something out for me within 30 seconds, matching my brand guidelines, and I can keep building off of that for as many graphics as I want. So it's has saved hundreds of hours of time
Yes.
for me.
Yes,
See,
exactly.
what you're talking about, though, is the perfect combination. You've been educated. You have a degree in marketing, so you started with understanding a larger understanding of the basics. You're able to, so when you're seeing these tools, you know where they fit in, and you remember probably some of the projects and things you worked on at school, doing it the hard way. It making a whole semester about creating a business plan. Imagine
But I'll
that.
I'll tell you what though, I not to hate on my alma mater, but I think it's pretty much the same no matter where you go. What I've learned in business and marketing now, I've taught myself. And sure, I taught myself before ChatGPT was a thing, but nothing that I do now is what I learned in school. I'll tell you that much.
None of
But
us.
I,
None of us.
even when you mentioned a business plan, I was thinking back to the past business that I created, which was a Western clothing store. And I remember thinking about getting some funding, right? Some grants. And they asked me to write a business plan. How many people are driving by your business every day? And the amount of times I opened that application and tried to start writing what they wanted and closed it because I was so defeated by it and thinking now what I could have done with that makes me want
You
to
could have had
cry
that
a little
answer in
bit.
a matter of seconds.
100%. Do you know the research and testing and all these papers that were released on the amount of cars that drive by my business or what was my business? Took forever to find it.
I think we're all going to become a lot more research savvy. I mean, we're going to start with the research.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Um, Given how quickly things have changed in marketing since when you went to school, which wasn't a very long amount of
Yeah.
time at all. The one thing I've noticed about the business plans, actually, I think there's always been a tremendous lack of business planning, even for the largest corporations. It requires a discipline to do that. Or you're getting a 5-year business plan, which imagine how silly that is today. So I think what this is doing, and there's going to be a lot of examples of AI where it's actually making us be a little bit better. It's raising the bar. It's going to be so competitive because we've all gained, working with something that's making us a lot smarter. So we're not going to be the only ones doing that. Everybody's doing that. So I mean, there's going to probably be more competition. You're not going to be able to get by without a business plan. Whereas in the past, you have been able to get by. People get by. It doesn't mean they have the most successful business, but now you'll see it all the time.
It makes you think. I know with me, again, with 20 plus businesses under my belt, every time I use AI to write a business plan, it it opens my eyes to things that I never thought about before. All the hundreds of business plans I've written, so many different things. And what I love about it, folks, is as you learn AI, listening to this podcast, it makes you it's almost like having a PhD in business and in marketing sitting next to you because it makes you think. It starts asking you questions. Well, what about this? What if we went this way? I'm like, the V8,
Yeah.
oh, duh. It's like, I
Absolutely.
I I didn't think about that. And it ends up building this most comprehensive, beautiful business plan. Um, I'll just share with you real quickly, and then we're going to get to our topic. I just used it yesterday. So our primary businesses, of course, are Sanchez Capital Management, our brokerage firm in Reno, Nevada. I also have Channel Islands Executive Charter, which is a executive yacht charter business, and then we have our ranch, Sanchez Ranch, and Sanchez Ranch Event Center and Wedding Center. Um, each of those have been created with a business plan that's ongoing using AI because as an entrepreneur, if those of you that are brand new, one thing you'll find if you kind of, mold into a true entrepreneur, things are going to change all the time. You're going to get a new idea. Something's going to
Mhm.
work, something's not going to work. It has to be fluid. And that's why I always told my clients when I had a coaching business, I said, don't waste your time writing a 200-page business plan because things are going to change. And in a true business plan, as both of you know, you change one thing, many other things in that plan will change that manually
Mhm.
we would used to have to go back to. So in other words, let's say you were gonna create a widget, right? And in your pro forma financials, you go, okay, that widget's going to be 25% of our gross income. What if that widget doesn't work and you need to transition to widget B, which is only going to make 20% of your revenue? Use the old days manually, you'd have to go back and adjust all of those financials. And to your point, Bailey, the bank, they don't care. You got to go back and do that work. Now with Chat
Absolutely.
GPT or Copilot or anything else, it's all done automatically. And the other thing, how I use it is it brings all of your businesses together. Like many of our businesses, we have we design our businesses for vertical marketing where one feeds into the other to the other to the other. You can't do that in manually writing a business plan, but AI knows how to do that. And I mean, it knows my businesses, it knows all
That's what
that.
makes a good business owner too, is be willing to be ever evolving, and now this just makes that a
Absolutely. You
lot
you you
easier.
have to be fluid. You have to be fluid because the business world and the environment is changing so fast. Really, Dennis, a human being, I hate to say this, can't keep up with it. It is changing so fast. It really
Well,
is.
we always have to interpret it. So we see this information and we have to interpret it what it really means. And I'm saying that because we're always going to have that role. This is just a lot of information activity out there. Think of how much information is sitting inside this technology. It's going to sit there unless somebody, a human being, accesses it
Extracts it.
and
Yeah.
uses it. So, this is a good combination. This is a good partnership. I really see it as a partnership, where the more we learn to collaborate with it and
Hmm.
trust it, you're going to see just leaps of things change with people, just for that reason.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm so excited about is to see all the new businesses and the ideas that none of us are even thinking about right now. If, we fast forward, however, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, think of all the phenomenal new businesses that are going to be created that could have never been created because number one, people were stuck in their job. They didn't, they're like, I'm collecting a nice wage. I'm just going to sit here till my 30 years are up. But now they're like, I'm going to become a solopreneur, right? I'm going to have unlimited income potential. I'm going to go hopefully make a bunch of money. I'm going to have freedom. I'm going to have everything I've ever dreamed of that I never could get in corporate America. Now I'm doing it and I'm building equity in the future. Remember, when you start going through some of our programs we're going to be coming out with, we're going to teach you how to build a business, not only that's successful, but also one that creates equity, right? The worst thing that you can do is spend all these years building a business and then you think, oh, it's got X amount of market value and you go to sell it and the value is down here. Why? You didn't build that business to sell it. There are
Hmm.
secrets and tricks and strategies to build a business that is of value down the road. Because face it, at some point you're going to go, I'm tired of this. I want to go to something else or I want to fully retire. And if you don't have a business that has value to someone else, forget it. And what does the potential buyer want? They want a business that has reliable, reoccurring revenue, right? If you're a trick pony and you're like, I'm going to sell something and that's all I'm going to make, that business is going to be worth nothing, right? But if I have a business where I'm like, I've got reoccurring revenue, I've got $100,000 a month in reoccurring revenue coming in and it's growing, and you got a marketing plan and you got all these different pieces of the business together that a business plan makes you do. Guess what? Now you've built not only a great life, hopefully for yourself as far as income and so on and so forth, but you got something that you can sell down the road,
And I'll
right?
tell you what, this comes into one simple small trick, and that is called prompting. And prompting is exactly just how you talk to ChatGPT and how you ask it to create something. And in the simplest of terms, when you create that business plan on ChatGPT, say, I want this to be set up so it can be sold in the future for the highest value,
Great
right?
Hmm.
point.
It's that
Good
one
point.
simple sentence, and that will change your entire business plan that
Everything.
ChatGPT
I
creates for you.
love
Do
it.
you know how long that would have taken us a few years ago?
Oh, yeah.
I would have paid a lot of money to have that one simple tool.
Right.
Let's
Absolutely.
talk about prompting for a couple minutes because
Sure.
I think there's a mystique around it, and I know where some of it comes from. I was an early adopter of Copilot when it came out 2.5, 3 years ago, and when it first rolled out, I remember the training. It was like, oh, spend your time on the prompting. In fact, memorize these prompts. You've got to do it exactly like this, or you're not going to get what you want. In fact, there's a whole new career now for prompt engineers. And I remember looking at a couple of those job descriptions, and they were all six-figure jobs. Well, you can't find them anymore because as people used it, and when I train people on Copilot in particular, I always say, you don't have to worry about the perfect prompt. In fact, I'm lazy. Half the time I'll put 3 or 4 words and I get really close to what I want. But you're also getting to a point where you just don't even have to think about the structure and stuff like that. I'm writing prompts that are like this long, especially getting into some of the other versions. Researcher, for example, is a Copilot agent that allows you to go very deep into a topic. It takes maybe 2 minutes longer, but it also shows you step by step how it's addressing it and attacking the problem. And it is about identifying what that problem, the business problem is. That's what we also advise when you're starting your business. Think about a problem that needs to get solved, because that's how this technology works. But it's just amazing, the detail. But it doesn't have to be a perfect prompt. It's a conversation.
Yes.
Think of the
That's how I
conversation
tend to
as,
do it, more of a
yeah,
conversation.
it's synchronous, which means, and you mentioned it before, Jon, you're getting more probably out of it and what's coming back at you. Copilot calls that coaching. In fact, you can just click on something that says, coach me on this, teach me Spanish, do this. I think that that type of functionality in ChatGPT and Copilot is still untapped. I think people, the more and more they get into it, that now you're starting to trust it as something that's helping you do anything, just
Anything.
like
And
kind of being attached at your hip.
Yes.
And to it, like you said, it doesn't have to be perfect wording. Go
Mm-mm.
on to Google. Don't forget about Google and say, what are some ChatGPT prompts for marketing when starting a business? It's not about the perfect vocabulary. It's just about the right questions to ask, right? And sometimes we just forget about those important questions to ask. And then it snowball effects when you start putting them in ChatGPT and it starts asking you questions.
Ask ChatGPT what the right prompt is.
Yeah.
So no, I mean it. I do
You're
that
right.
often.
You're right.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll find something, just not quite getting the response. They've analyzed like the structure of a perfect prompt. Yeah, you can use that, but I would say the majority of the time nobody's
Yeah.
using it. You don't need to.
And I imagine
Just
as time
you can even
goes
use a
on,
microphone. You don't even have to type.
yeah. And I imagine as time goes on, bro, it's going to be even less important to do the perfect prompt, right? As the generative AI gets
Yeah.
to know more and has, more knowledge behind it and so on and so forth, it's not going to be as particular as it is now. I mean, going back to, like you said, the launch a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago of AI, probably had to be pretty close to perfect to really get info. Now you can conversate. Who knows where it's going to be another year, 2 years from now, right? It's only going
It
to get
will.
better.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will argue with you guys on that aspect when we get to marketing.
They call
All right.
that the interface.
That's right. All right, let's get to our topic. Again, we're going to start this discussion off about how to become a solopreneur using AI. We want to help you get in business. So for those of you, again, I don't care if you're looking for a moonlight type of situation. You want to keep your 9-to-5 job, but you want to do a little side hustle. I don't care if you are miserable at your job and you're like, I've got to get out. I've got to go do something else. This is going to help you. Or for those of you that are like, you know what? I've got this phenomenal idea, this 1 in a million idea. I need to move on this, right? It doesn't matter what phase or what reason you want to become a solopreneur. We're going to help you do that. Now, today's podcast is really just the tip of the iceberg. Each Monday, we're going to be hosting another podcast, staying on this subject, the solopreneur. Dennis has written an incredible ebook that he's been kind enough to offer to those of you that are listening today. And the title of the ebook is The Rise of the Solopreneur. And I think the key word here is rise, because this is, as we're going to share with you some stats before we get into the heart of our discussion. The word rise is so very, very apt because You have no idea, folks, how many people are doing this. And some may be doing it successfully, others may not. But we want you to succeed, and that's why we're putting this together. So today, send an email to Dennis Sanchez, Dr. Dennis Sanchez, excuse me, at performai.ai. Dr. Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai. And Dennis will send you an excerpt of the overview of this incredible ebook, The Rise of the Solopreneur. And then down the road, we're going to be talking more about the ebook and how you're going to be able to purchase that ebook. And then this is just the tip of the iceberg, folks. Dennis is putting together all kinds of courses, certifications, etc., for those of you to kind of start from ground zero, like we're talking about, how to do proper prompts, really working your way into AI, and then delving into the business side. Now, if you don't want to go down that formal side, you want to just go off of what we're doing today, hey, we salute you, right? You can do it. And we're going to help you with basically 7 points to get your solopreneur business off the ground. But before we do, let's share with you a little bit of statistics. There was an incredible article written in CNBC. It was dated September 22nd of 2025. And it had a tremendous amount of data that I know myself, Dennis, I don't know about you, Bailey,
Yeah.
is available. And I want to share this with you. And then we're going to get into our step-by-step roadmap here. So according to this article, solopreneurs are a major economic force. 29.8 million U.S. businesses with no paid employees contribute $1.7 trillion to the economy. That makes up 6.8% of total economic activity. So think about that. Already almost 30 million businesses are solopreneurs. Rapid growth in the solo business formation. Entrepreneurs are filing, as Dennis mentioned earlier, over 440,000 new business applications monthly. That is a rate that is 90% higher than the pandemic averages. AI and technology, low barriers, right? This is why we're talking to you about this. AI with tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, etc., make it easier and faster than ever to start a business, with some experts saying a side hustle can be launched in as little as 10 minutes. We were joking on another broadcast earlier that I can literally launch a business in 2 hours, probably an hour. Dennis took the 1 day approach, but bottom line, we can do it really fast, and so
I
can
probably
you.
have more ideas at the beginning than you have, because I have to go through 100 new ideas to
Yeah,
get
see, I
to
don't.
the
Yeah.
top three. You've got
Because I'm
one
not
and
going
you
to
got
write
to
the
run
plan
with it.
until
You're
I know what the
stubborn.
idea is. I'm going to use AI to validate my idea, do my market research. If it's valid, then I'm going to write the business plan and be up and running. That simple. Social media driving new opportunities. You look at platforms like TikTok, and of course that enables millions of solo businesses, especially among Bailey's demographic, women under age 30, to reach customers instantly and build authentic brands without expensive marketing. Read a story, in this article, Bailey. It's amazing what your generation, that under 30 woman, I mean, leaving corporate America, 6-figure paying jobs, and they're like, I don't give a damn how much money I make, but I'm sick and tired of running the kids, getting them off to school, driving an hour to the office, putting up with a boss that's a jerk, doesn't understand who I am as a woman, that I have other responsibilities besides this job. Then I got to leave at 5 o'clock. I got to go fight traffic to hurry and get home. Then I got to grab the kids from daycare, take them to soccer or football practice, and we're home at 8 o'clock at night. And then I got to throw some macaroni and cheese on the stove and try to feed them something and put them to bed. And we do it over and over.
Yeah. And
Instead,
I'll
these
tell you
women
what,
are going,
I guarantee you that these women are seeing, and I do the same thing. And when I
yeah,
finally get to turn my brain off and
yeah,
I log on to TikTok just for a little bit, and I see these 18-year-olds doing dances and getting millions of
oh,
views,
yeah,
and then they're cashing out. And then I
making
think,
millions of dollars. Yes.
yes. And then I
Yes.
think to myself, will not dance in front of the camera, but what can I
Right.
do through TikTok to
Yeah.
make some money like these people
Absolutely.
are?
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
these kids
No,
are really getting off
yeah.
easy. I'll tell you
Oh yeah.
what.
No, it's absolutely amazing. But I thought that was a really fascinating demographic that honestly I never really paid that much of attention to. And then, the creator, empowers individuals, meaning the AI, to monetize their passions, with many customers seeking authentic niches, personal brands over large corporations for more direct connection. What does that mean in English? Guess what, folks? That means that the consumer, they want to deal with you. Even if you're a solopreneur, you're a one-man, one-woman operation. People are getting to the point where they're tired of dealing with corporate America for again,
Mhm.
whole nother podcast,
Yep.
millions of reasons, right? They would rather deal with a Bailey Sanchez and go, hey, you know what? I know you, I trust you, you're legitimate, but more importantly, you care about me as a customer. Not, oh, you're just a number with, you can't even talk to a human being anymore at a major corporation. This is the new trend. This is where society is going. And this is what solopreneurship using AI will do for you. So I don't care what your reason is, sit back and get ready to learn how we launch a business using AI. Dennis?
One point on that last point, it was really good. If you remember, we had an industrial revolution. That
Indeed.
was a huge transformation for all over the world. When they launched it, we had craftsmen. That was where people went for most things, the small craftsmen. And they thought, it's going to eliminate the craftsman. Well, actually, the same kind of thing happened you just described. People, when they want that quality and they want to work one-on-one with people, that's really kind of our preference. They start going back to the craftsman. Maybe the solo entrepreneur is going to play that role where
I
you've
think
got
I know
all
it will.
this, so much of it is going to be digitized, and it's going to be a while before we can talk to a customer service person, a live one, when in fact, maybe that happens more quickly with a solo entrepreneur.
I know I
Absolutely.
have a lot more patience if I'm ordered a t-shirt from someone who makes it at home versus
Yeah,
Amazon. If
yeah,
something's delayed and I know some mom who shows herself on Instagram being a real person
Yeah.
is delaying her response to me, I have a lot more patience with her than I do if Amazon is not getting me my clothing
Right.
in time.
Right. No, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. So what you're saying, Bailey, is we have different expectations, right? The solopreneur, the customer's expectation is a little bit less,
Mhm.
and they're willing to pay more, by
maybe
the
more
way,
forgiving,
and
a
more
Yeah.
little bit more
forgiving, right? Great
patient.
term. Right.
And
Exactly.
that's an opportunity, I think, to under promise and over deliver too. I
It
loved
is.
nothing
Good way
more
to say
than
that.
when I owned that clothing store because I would ship out orders as well. And as soon as it came in, I had a race with myself how fast I could get the order out. And so many people were excited about it. They never thought they'd get it. I'd get it quicker than Amazon to them sometimes. And so that's your opportunity to stand out amongst your competitors as a small
Absolutely.
business.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, let's get down to our topic. How do we get this business launched? So, Dr. Sanchez has put together a step-by-step launch roadmap that we want to share with you. So, Dennis, let's start with your first point, which is identify a problem to solve and validate your business idea.
hmm it's the theme that you really see when you're putting together a solo entrepreneur business is you still want to rely on business fundamentals, good common sense things. It's like if you're going to open up a store, it does matter what your location is, or
Mhm.
a restaurant, something like that. You can't forget about those things, no matter how much AI is helping you. AI could help you find that location for your business, so
Like
there's
Bailey said
always
with
a
traffic
role.
count and things. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say add some passion into that too. But solving a problem, that's what they're willing to spend money on.
Mhm.
How important is that problem? And if nothing comes to mind when you ask yourself that question, you just present it to Copilot or Chat GPT. I'm interested in a certain area. What are the common problems and challenges that people face in that area? It's a lot of the same process I went through when I was putting my business together, and it helps you hone in exactly how to address a need that people will pay for, and then it's how much are they willing to pay for it, and so that's a good place to start. They a common thing also is don't limit yourself to a few ideas. It's called ideation. That's another word for just brainstorming and thinking of ideas. Those best practices come from advertising and product development and places like that, where they've always used this method. The right approach is, pick 50. Ask Copilot to give you 50 ideas. As you go through, you're going to see they're all over the map, and then you can go back and say, these. In fact, Copilot has asked me, out of these 50, are there 3 that really resonate with you? And then
So
we'll start whittling it down.
So let me bring it down to the old-fashioned way of how I do this exact thing, because this is such a fundamental step of starting a business, AI or not. I used to call it the funnel method. And so I'd have my clients pretend or have them actually draw a funnel on a piece of paper. And I said, I want you to throw in every business idea that you want into the top of this funnel. By the time we're done with our coaching session today, there's going to be 1 or 2 ideas that are going to spit out at the bottom, right? And I don't want you to have any barriers to entry. I don't want you to say, oh, I'd love to do this, but boy, that requires $1 million startup capital, or, no barriers to entry. And it's amazing what the mind can do. And now you augment that with AI and you go, like you said, a bunch of 50
Yeah.
ideas, you narrow it down to a couple. And the great thing about AI in the business planning area now, you can test that, right? You can say, all right, run me a financial forecast for the next 3 years. Well, if your goal is maybe to make $1 million a year, but the forecast comes back and goes, you're going to make 200,000, scratch that idea, right? So that's how AI can kind of take old school ways of doing it into the new. But I want to mention one thing too, guys, and that is, and Bailey, I brought you up with this, and you've used this in your businesses, and I emphasize this over and over again. I don't care what AI tells you. There's one thing that no one is going to tell you that I am, and that is this: have a passion for what you want to do. AI can say this is a great model for all these various reasons, but let me tell you what, from a guy that has had all these businesses and I've been a financial advisor for 35 plus years. There's been great times, there's been bad times, but I love what I do. It's not a job to get up and go to work every day. I work 14, 15 hours a day because I love what I do. It's a passion. If you don't have a passion for what you want to do, if you're just doing it for the money, you'll never make it. You'll reach this much of your potential. But if you have a business that you're like passionate about and you're like, I can't wait to go to work, and oh my gosh, it's, I've put in 15 hours today, and you're thinking about it 24/7. That's when you're going to be a success. So I just wanted to throw that point in there, Dennis.
Actually, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to mention earlier, even if your passion is the most niche business possible, right? The beauty of having this technology at our fingertips now is, of course, seeing the market potential, potentially how much money you could make. But with that, you can also now be realistic about how much money to put into it, because if it's your passion and it may not generate a ton of money, this could be a side business out of 3 side
Sure,
businesses,
that's
but
right.
it's
Nothing
not.
says you have to have one.
Yeah, nobody says you have to have one, but it makes it you can reach that goal regardless and know what to expect versus just jumping all in, throwing all your money in, and hoping something sticks to the wall. You can be realistic about it no matter how niche that business is.
Great point.
There's one other point I want to make here, which is in all these examples, we're using AI as the enabler, the empowerment tool. It starts still with a good idea that you're passionate about, regardless of the AI. The AI is just going to bring it to fruition faster, give you greater insight. So you can, I love there's kind of a common theme. There's a lot of research you can do with AI and just about everything you do. You can do an A/B test with a landing page. You can test things. You're taking away some of the risk of starting that business. That's another thing for those that are risk, what do you call it? Don't like risk.
Risk adverse.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
It's getting late. But take away a little bit of the risk. You can play with it more and experiment with it more without putting a lot at stake. But
that's a great idea.
The people part of it has to be there.
Yep. I've had businesses that have failed, and boy, I don't think they would have failed if I had AI to test it out ahead of time. You may think you have the greatest idea in the world, but again, if you need somebody to buy your product or your service, and if they're not there, it just goes by the wayside. But, some of the greatest businesses, Dennis, have been started over time. And I'm talking some of the multi-billion or trillion-dollar businesses that have identified a problem. Just take a look at, the likes of Apple, the likes of Hewlett Packard. Dell Computer. Michael Dell started it in his dorm room, right? Zuckerberg started Facebook and now Meta, of course, in a dorm room type of thing. He's solving a problem. So you keep that in mind, and AI will help you do that. You identify the problem, you solve it, and then watch and see what happens, right? And I think the great thing also with AI is there's going to be so many doors opened up that we don't even know, right? So many problems that we deal with every day, or challenges, as I like to call them, that AI will solve. And if you can be that solopreneur to do that, beautiful, And I want to pause right here, guys. I think we screwed up on one thing, and that is this. We really didn't define what a solopreneur is. We're throwing this term out there. So Dennis, let's pause before we go to point 2. In layman's terms, let's talk about, I like to use the word avatar, right? This that you visualize what yourself is. You're sitting in corporate America, you're stuck in a cubicle, and you're like, I want to change for all the reasons we said. I want to be a solopreneur. What's that avatar look like?
It's every man, every person, every man, every woman. It's anyone. It's someone who has a great job and they love their job, but have
Or
the
hate their
urge
job.
and feel that they're maybe it's something not even related to their job, but it's something that they feel would give them more purpose in their life. It's someone who doesn't have a choice, and that, they find themselves laid off, but now they have a choice. There's something they don't have to wait for someone to hire them. And that we talked about this earlier, this common theme that AI is and benefit it's bringing out, which is it's allowing us freedom, control, to take
Control of
the
our destiny.
initiative. So right in hand with having this opportunity, it's going to require us to be stronger as individuals and, be thinking about discipline, be thinking about, the self-motivation part, because we've been so used to being led around. You're fortunate. You've been outside of the big corporation. You've worked with them, but it's just a whole, more people you're passively, in most part, I think, waiting for them to give you a promotion or something.
I couldn't do
And
it.
of course
I couldn't
that's
do it.
all that stuff
Yeah.
seems to be
Yeah.
stalled, going out the
Yeah,
window. Not
absolutely.
all of it, but
Well, a good majority of it.
yeah.
And again, I think one of the greatest traits of an entrepreneur is you feel in your heart of hearts you can do it better than, if you're gonna do the same type of work that you're working the corporation you're working for now, I know I did that. That's why I left, major Wall Street firm to launch my own. I felt I could do it better than they could. I could move faster. I could be more receptive. I could treat
Mhm.
my clients like family instead of a big number. I had a number of passionate reasons, and that's what you need to do. Maybe you have a business idea that's completely out of the realm of what you currently do 9 to 5. It doesn't matter. How refreshing is it to go into something brand new and act like a kid again and learn something, right, from the ground up? This is how I'm gonna build it. I mean, the list of reasons is endless. It really is. But you brought up a point I wanna just expand on, and that is, folks, we are not sitting here saying that you're not gonna bust your butt doing this. Yes, AI, for all the great reasons we said, will benefit you dramatically and shrink down the timeline to be successful, but guess what? You still gotta work. You still
You got
gotta
to be
work.
motivated still.
Yeah, you gotta be motivated, hence why you need to have a passion for what you do more than anything else, and then realize, I had a saying. I had a secretary when I was with a major Wall Street firm early in my career, and the secretary came. She was a branch manager's
They had
secretary, and she came up
secretaries
to
in
me.
those days, huh?
Yeah, they did. She was a true secretary. Don't call her anything other than that. And Marilyn came up to me and she says, she pulls me aside, and I was a brand new broker. And she goes, "Let me tell you a secret." I said, "Yeah, Marilyn, what is it?" She goes, "Work harder than anybody else for the next 2 years, and you'll live better than anyone else the rest of your life." Let me repeat that. Work harder than anybody else for the next 2 years, yeah, and you'll live better than anyone else the rest of your life. Well, it took a little more than 2 years to do. It's not like I could be done at that point. I'm still doing it 35 years later. But that message stuck
Yeah.
with me because it's true, and it goes that way for any business, AI generated and managed or not. Work harder than anybody else, and you can live better than anybody else the rest of your life. I mean, I am not the smartest guy in the world, but you know what? I'll outwork you. I promise you that. I'll outwork anybody out there. If I have a dream and a passion, Bailey knows his poor thing. I will outwork you. And that and a passion have enabled me to have success as an entrepreneur, making money I only dreamed of when I was a child, right? Because I believed in myself. I cashed in my $19,000 401k. That's all I had to my name when I decided to leave the major Wall Street firm and open my own firm. I had $19,000 to my name, and I took, I think, 10,000. No, it was more than. I took about 13,000 of that for the first month's rent on the office and the deposit and a computer. And I had this little tiny office, and it was Bailey's mom and myself. Bailey was just a baby at that point, and her siblings, and we literally sat there, 24/7 basically, and worked and worked. And now, I live my dream life, right? I live my dream life.
But I think too, anybody who's listening, and even if it's not your dream to be a solopreneur, right? Take that motto and apply it to your job. If you love the job that you're doing right now and you work underneath somebody else, still outwork everybody and utilize tools such as ChatGPT or AI to be better at your
That's right.
position. There's no reason that you can't be going quicker or faster, smarter
That's
than
right.
the people around you
You
with
bet.
the tools that are available now.
Because I
Don't
promise
be
you,
stagnant.
and Dennis knows better than I do because he did the training with corporate America. Agree or disagree with me, Dennis? I don't know what the percentage is. I'm just going to use 95%, 98% of people still really don't know how to properly use AI. So to Bailey's point, if you are a 9 to 5 employee and you want to stay there, but you want to progress up the corporate ladder or get a raise, whatever it is, take the initiative and learn AI because it will only benefit you. It will never harm you.
That
You
I
agree?
was gonna. We're all on the same vibe.
Well, we have the same
Absolutely.
DNA, so yeah.
And we're talking about, and that'll probably be the topic of another podcast, the upskilling. Is America, is corporate America doing their job and upskilling people to really prepare them for
No,
AI?
no.
And
Corporate America doesn't give a
yeah,
damn. They don't give a damn about
it's
you.
not,
Realize that,
and
folks.
even the training they are delivering, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
is not very good at all.
If
This
I'm
is
the
your
CEO of
opportunity
a
to stand out as an employee right now to take the initiative
Yeah.
one day.
Take
but
the
remember,
Learn
initiative.
I
it.
mean, let's cut through the BS. If I'm the CEO or CFO of a large corporation and every CEO is dealing with this or C-suite executives are dealing with this, how to implement AI into the business, they all know. I mean, remember, especially if you're a publicly traded company, it's about one thing. It's your stock performance. It's your profitability.
Mhm.
If I can
Yeah.
eliminate whatever, $500 million from my expense category of my financial statement, and I can pass that on to shareholders with a dividend reinvestment plan, or I'm going to go open a new factory or something, and I can do it without employees. Guess what? Levy employees, but bottom line is I want to make my millions of dollars, as a CEO, and it's about the profitability. I have my shareholders to answer to. So any of you that believe that your corporation has your best interest at heart, you're fooling yourself. And as AI progresses, it's going to get worse. They're going to become cold-blooded, money-driven individuals and corporations because they now know they had to boy, I'm going to get on my soapbox here. They had to coddle you as an employee up until AI. Now they're going, I've got AI that can replace those 10 employees sitting over there doing customer service work or those 10 employees in payroll. Guess what? I don't need to be so nice to them and coddle them because you know what? I really deep down, I don't want them. I want to save that money. I want to use AI. AI works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't ask for raises. It doesn't want vacation time. It doesn't call in sick, on and on and on. So if you think for a moment that your corporation wants to keep you around forever, think again. I don't care what corporations tell you. Sorry.
It's your time to outperform all the employees around you at this point. Again,
Take
take
care
the
of yourself.
initiative.
What was the
Streamline your
term?
processes.
What was the
And
term
if
you had
you're
earlier, Dennis, today? Uh, Basically, be responsible for yourself. This is time. This is a time to be
so
responsible.
there is and you're going to hear it in future broadcasts and podcasts. I'm going to introduce a theory, psychological theory that's been around for a long time, and it really is starting to resonate even more now. It's called self-determination theory, and it's all about you've all heard about someone has intrinsic motivation or extrinsic motivation. Basically, intrinsic is it's somebody who's self-motivated, and it's been the model and the attribute that employers have wanted for a long time. Somebody who motivates themselves, somebody we don't have to babysit, somebody we don't have to check. It's a great trait to have. Versus extrinsic, meaning that person doesn't work unless you're holding a carrot out there and saying you're going to give them a bonus or something like that. Well, reality, a little bit of both is good, but the most important thing is the intrinsic side.
Yes.
And that is, you're going to find, even in, I know that in the training that I'm designing stuff right now, we spend a lot of time talking about and developing those intrinsic motivational skills, because we all have that unlimited potential to do that, to touch, to tap into that power. And we're talking about it, and it's going to be even more important, especially as people are working by themselves.
Yes. Bailey, your generation, as you and I have discussed over and over again, I as an employer find it a challenge with your generation and those before you when it comes to the intrinsic work ethic, right? We've interned a lot of people and brought in young people, and I tell them, I don't care if you have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, you better be the first one in this office. You better be the last one to leave. You better show me you want this job, because guess what? There's 10 people behind you that want this job. Now I can go, guess what? Not that there's 10 people, but I got AI that can do 80% of what you're going to do. So you got to prove it. And now it's a show me time in the world of quote small business and corporate America.
Absolutely.
Business owners now have an option. And let me
If
tell
you were
you,
motivated enough to fill out the resume, I'm telling you right now, here's a little life hack. If you joined in as a marketing intern, I'm going to go into ChatGPT right now and say, I'm a marketing intern for this business. I'm new. How do I stand out amongst
there you
all the
go.
people around me?
Simple.
And even if you are you're not the most self-motivated person. Well, guess what? There's a guide through ChatGPT that will tell you how to do it. So if you can read a piece of paper, you can figure out how to stand out amongst everyone
Amen.
else around you.
Amen.
There's no
But
excuse.
but I have a friend in a technology company who was interviewing people,
Mm.
and he 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 f- he decided to. They knew what the questions were going to be. They probably briefed him like that. He went into ChatGPT and looked each one of them up to see what the response was. And so he was looking at them as one interviewee was answering the questions, and it was exactly they were following in ChatGPT. Let's just
Wow.
say that person didn't get the job.
Yeah,
So
I bet.
there is that fine line we find in the use of AI. Always be authentic. You're going to get
Yeah.
caught, and that lawyers are trying to
Yes.
it's you can get caught. Your student, you're going to get caught. So
Don't
that's
apply for something that you can't work your way through the interview process
yeah.
and at least know what you're doing. Once
Yeah.
you get into the job, you know the overview. Plug something into the internet and say, "How do I stand out
Yep.
amongst
We
everyone
we
else
we
around
had a
me?"
big situation in Reno. A large local law firm decided to use AI to prepare for a massive court case, and the judge realized that they cited court cases and things that AI created that never existed, and they didn't validate it,
Called
right?
hallucinating.
That's right. And not only did they lose the lawsuit, they had to I mean, yeah,
Oh,
absolute
yeah.
disaster. But more
Maybe that's
importantly,
the one that's
harm
like
to the
a
relationship.
legend, a living legend. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that's the one that's being passed around all over because
It
I
could be.
heard that
Yep,
story.
it was in Reno. It was right,
Wow.
Billy? Yeah, it was in Reno. All right, let's get back to our step-by-step
Yeah,
launch
we're
roadmap
only
for
at
those of you
two. We're
solopreneurs.
one. We're still
Yeah, we're
one.
only
Come on,
number
we got
one.
to
I
speed.
know. Yeah, and you, by the way, you're listening to Podcast of America, the voice of America's small business. Our very special guest, Dr. Dennis Sanchez and Bailey Sanchez. All right, so here's the launch sequence. Once again, we identified the problem to solve. We validated our business idea using
Mhm.
AI. Number two,
Yep.
define your service or product and your business model.
It fits right in with the if with the business planning part. For me, that would be something that came out of the business plan when I asked Copilot, for example, let's do a market review. I'm interested in this market. Can you give me all the angles? Like who's the best target? What kind of products and services could I sell? How much competition do I have? You're answering the SWOT question, all that kind of stuff, just in really one prompt is going to reveal all that information. And out of that would be the perfect service or product for you to sell, at least to start, at least to test. And then depending on what that is, what's the best business model? If you're selling plants over in a store, maybe you don't need an LLC. Maybe they're just, you're going to make that choice too, knowing that it's easy to set any of them up, over in a matter of minutes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bailey, what do you think?
I completely agree. I think that all comes to fruition within kind of one question to ChatGPT of here's my interest. What kind of
Yeah.
businesses can I create with it? And again, the snowball effect of ChatGPT asking you questions too, and it will identify all of that for you within the first few questions. So there's not much beyond that. You already kind of have an idea
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the product or service that you want um, going into this initial analysis.
Folks, you'd be amazed how many businesses are started on a whim where they don't take the time to define the service, define the
Mhm.
product. It's just like, hey, I got this idea, I'm going to start this business, and that's why 90+% of businesses, I'm going to guess, fail. Significant more fail than are successful. I think with AI, that number is going to come dramatically down. Okay, I got to go back, bro. You skipped my very important question. We got to go back because this is why we're doing this, and that is defining the solopreneur. So let's make it really simple. Let me give you my avatar of a solopreneur. I can work wherever I want to. So visualize it with us, folks, for just a moment. I can sit wherever I want to. If I want to be on a yacht sitting out on an island, if I want to be in my Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van sitting on a beach in Southern California, if I want to be up in the mountains, one of Bailey's favorite places, sitting next to a creek. Now with Starlink and other types of technology, you can work anywhere you want to. Would you rather do that, or would you rather be in a corporate office where you just commuted, an hour to get in and you're having to go spend $20 on lunch? That lifestyle. think about that's who the avatar of the solopreneur is. And now again, folks, with the way technology, with AI, you don't need a whole bunch of employees. And that should be a very important point. As Dennis indicated, you're identifying the problem, you're defining your services. And then the other points we're going to go over in a moment, you're doing this yourself, right? You're not building a business to go, oh, I need 5 employees in marketing and 2 in accounting and da da da. No, this is you. For once in your life, you're going to have control of your future as a solopreneur, and you have unlimited income potential. So that's my avatar of a solopreneur. What about you, Dennis and Bailey?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually going to piggyback right off of that, but a little more in depth. It is working wherever I want, whenever I want, not having to worry about employees, healthcare expenses for my employees, workers' comp. It is solely me. I only have to answer to myself. I get to make a business out of what I'm passionate about, and I can be in Europe working if I want to, and my processes are streamlined so I can go take a vacation when I want to, and business is still running. Um, and that is solely it,
I love it.
wrapped up
I
in
love it.
one.
I love it. Dennis?
What I've heard both of you say, it's the common theme again. You're talking about the utmost freedom.
Yes. Yes.
It's even, and as you were talking, I was saying, well, yeah, but you get that being an entrepreneur, but no, not really. You can be burdened with the
Sure.
payroll, the employees, all that kind of stuff. You have some freedom, but not the same level. You really have the most potential freedom of, how you spend your time, freedom of relationships, freedom of, what you want to learn, total freedom.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's appealing to me.
It is.
Yep.
It is. It's
Yeah.
and society is changing. People of all ages, from Bailey's age to our age, Dennis, this is appealing to people. I think COVID opened a lot of eyes when people had the chance to work at home, and for once in their life, right, in all of our lifetime, they had that taste of what it was like to have a bit of freedom. Sure, they worked, and of course, we know many, or not many, but we know, people took advantage of COVID, and they kind of ruined it for everybody, right? Then after COVID ends, and all of a sudden, all these companies that swore we're going to be a remote company, all of a sudden start bringing, you got to be back in the office 3 days now, you got to be back 5 days. But everybody got a taste of that. And I think that's really why this timing of a solopreneur is so very important, because before, no one could experience. You couldn't say, hey, boss, I want to take the next month and I want to work from home. And trust me, I'm going to work, and on and on. Nobody would do that. Now they got a taste of it. And Bailey, especially your generation, I think you're going to find, again, 20, 30 years old, 40 years old, they're going to go, you know what? Screw that, corporate America. I'm not commuting. I'm not having all this. I'm not having somebody ride my butt. And that's why, millions of businesses are going to be created thanks to AI and what it enables us to do for all these reasons.
Yeah, completely agree. I know
Okay.
I've done that. I
Yeah.
worked for a previous company, and fantastic people, don't get me wrong, but it was corporation, and nothing made me more angry than someone calling me in the morning asking why my computer wasn't on and the mouse wasn't moving,
That's right.
when I like to work on my own time as long as my tasks are done and it's done by deadline. I don't want someone bothering me and
Well, you and
asking me
Dennis
what steps
are
I'm in.
evening people. You used to be, you're
Yes.
not so much anymore, but sometimes you have your best work 9, 10 o'clock at night. This guy's a night owl, right? I'm the opposite. I'm up at 3 or 4 in the morning, but my brain shuts off at about 5 o'clock. So, that's the beauty of it, is everybody has their own, biological clock and rhythm when they want to work.
Yeah.
You can't do that if you're
Yeah.
punching a clock at 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So, John, let me ask you this question. You've experimented with ChatGPT, building your business plan. So the business plan comes out and it's 50 pages. What are you going to do next?
I'm going to ask
Is-
ChatGPT, what are my priorities? I mean, I'm a bad one to ask that question because I've created so many businesses, and I know off the top of my head what my steps are. But if I was a brand new entrepreneur and I've put my trust into AI to build this business plan, et cetera, I'm going to follow it. And it's funny you bring this up. I fight myself now because I'm one of these. I have a pretty big ego, as both of you know, and I think my way is always the better. And 9 times out of 10, it's not. I'm getting better at that the older I get. But I need to put more trust into AI when it tells me to do something. Like as I wrote a business plan yesterday for a new business idea, it's telling me all these steps to follow, and I'm like, no, I want to, not do step 1. I want to go to step 3, and I'm like, wait a minute here. It's like telling your coach,
It's on brand.
yep, you got it. You got to
Sounds
follow
on
the
brand.
steps. I'll give you an idea. When I wrote this plan for this one business yesterday, it was early Sunday morning, and it wrote it out and it said, okay, John, here's your 90-day plan. I'm like, 90 days? What?
Can't do
I don't
90.
have 90
That's too
days.
long.
And I asked it. I said, amigo, can we shrink this down to 30 days? And it came back to me and said,
Sure.
amigo, hermano, we need to do this right. Do you want to do it right? Or do you want to, jam it in? I'm like,
Where has this
okay.
been all your life?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
You tried, and your siblings and your mom, everybody's like, ponder that into my head. And I'm like, no, no. But it's right.
The
As the
answer
plan
I
was
was
created.
looking for, those are all great answers, but the
Yeah.
one I was kind of looking for was you're going to make it leaner. If you have something, it's, and
I said that earlier. Yeah.
the
I don't like
reason,
big plans.
yeah, you got to repeat it again. No. The reason why I'm emphasizing that is because one of the things I've noticed, you probably noticed too, everybody's noticed, we're getting lot more information to work with. And I have stacks of stuff that I've printed out, these great ideas and gone here, gone here, gone here. And it's almost too much at times. So you can't really,
Absorb it all.
pragmatically work with
Yeah,
a
I agree.
huge business plan. You've got to
Yep.
bring it down to,
Yep.
I think one of the attributes of this style of a business is speed, action, push yourself, but do things now because you're part of the part of the benefit is just moving quickly and take advantage of opportunities that are out there in the market that other, like big organizations are not going to
Yep.
be able to do. So
I agree.
it's got to be lean, and you can change it tomorrow.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can. You can change it an hour later. Well, see, that's what I said earlier. If widget A doesn't work or product A doesn't work, you go, oh boy, I got to pivot to product B. It will change your whole financial plan. Where in the old days, it's like, oh my God, might as well rip it up and start over, right? But now with AI, that's not the case. So I answered your
So
question.
Bailey, how about the next one? Build your online presence, website or profile. This is in your
Let me
your
tell you,
wheelhouse.
folks,
This is your
nothing
bailiwick, Bailey.
Yeah.
nothing bothers me more than when I go look for a local restaurant to see their hours or their menu. And there's not even a website. They link their Facebook page that
There's still a
hasn't been
lot of that out there.
updated since 2018. I even offered to somebody the other day, let me build you a website for free just so it satisfies me, please. Because guess what?
That's a passion.
Guess what? You can do it in a matter of 2 hours if you wanted to, even with very limited technology experience. So please, I will keep it simple. Anytime you've looked at a business online and you thought, I can't find this information or I can't find it easily, remember that when you build out your platforms. It takes no time to build even a one-page website, your hours, your location, if it's online, what products you offer and how do I buy them. That is what someone is coming to you for. Have a one-page website if needed and hit your most basic social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. Starting out, you can put the same content on both of them because remember, Facebook and Instagram are going to have two different demographics for you, and they're going to reach two completely different audiences. It takes no time. And guess what? You can go into ChatGPT and say, give me step-by-step instructions on how to open an Instagram account. And remember, do your business profile on Instagram, not just a personal, because at the end of the day, those stats that you are getting on your Instagram profile or Facebook are going to help you once you get a little more of an expert in your business and want to start honing in on a certain demographic. So website, Instagram, Facebook, that's all you have to start with. And as you learn going forward and teach yourself some things, learn through workbooks, ebooks, whatever it is, and then you can learn about these other platforms. But please, for the love of God, build a website. Build a website with the most basic of information.
Bill, you're also working on some ebooks and some different courses and things exactly down this path that we're talking about how to use AI to build your social media accounts, how to use AI to do your social media. Those are going to be available in another month or so. I know you're just in the heart of building these right now, but you're going to offer courses and marketing material, ebooks, audiobooks, etc., for this because it is such a need out there right now.
Absolutely. There will be prompts. If you don't know what to ask ChatGPT for the beginning of your business, there will be prompts on what to ask it to build out for the start of your business. We'll get more in depth with building out your SEO, your search engine optimization. And that is what ranks you on Google, right? So if you want to appear at the top of the page for your niche, you have to put in some work on the back end. It is not hard, I promise you, but sometimes you just don't know that these options are available to enhance that SEO ranking. So we will start at the basics and we will dive into a little bit more of the expert side of building these platforms out, but it is possible for anyone. If my own
Right.
mother can do it, I know that anybody can do it. So
Or your dad,
yes,
who's not the most social media savvy.
absolutely.
I missed that one. My generation
Absolutely.
missed that a little
Yep.
bit.
But just have a place where your potential customers can see what you offer and they know how to give you their money. That is what you need.
Okay, guys, so let's pause right here because time is going very quickly. Let's recap what we've talked about in Dr. Sanchez's step-by-step launch roadmap. Number one, identify a problem to solve, validate it, validate your business idea. Number two, define your service and your product and your business model. Number three, create a lean plan, don't overplan. Number four, build the online presence, the website, and the profile or the profile. Again, AI will do all this for you literally in a matter of minutes. Let's go to our fifth point out of seven, Dennis, and that is implement and deliver your product or your service. I love this word implement because this is where soon to be entrepreneurs fail. It's like, I've done
Hmm.
all this,
You
but
go
man,
ahead,
I just can't
talk about it.
push the
I
ball
think
over
you
the
got
goal
it.
line. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of businesses stop there.
So
Don't what?
how do we implement using AI? How do we implement all this work that we've just done creating our business?
It's an interesting challenge because you're probably not investing as much up to this point and money and stuff like that. So you're not going to be motivated by heck. I've
Let's
just
put
spent
10,000 into a marketing
it's
plan,
10
right?
I better push the button. And I'm kind of being honest because that was how I kind of stalled. And the other part was I kept trying to be perfect with it. I have high standards for graphics and things like that. It doesn't always come out in what I'm building
Mhm.
myself. And it kind of held me
And
back.
how did you overcome that?
I had the external sources out there pushing
Well,
me.
he won't give me the credit, Bailey. He just will not give me the credit. Man,
It's
as a
okay.
host, it's like being a dad. It's a thankless
John,
job.
and my wife, Carrie.
Yes, yes, definitely give credit there.
She's learned. That's the other thing when you're doing something like this together, which it's it works really well if it works for you. It's great to have this family. We have our
Yes,
own family
yeah.
business in addition to being part of our larger family. Carrie has she's embraced learning more things and she's carry on more roles, but also because, for example, I could automate the payroll piece with ADP, basically set that up in about 2 hours, AI coming in there. She doesn't have to do that work. She
Manual
can just
payroll.
be the overseer of that the liaison
Mhm,
between our
mhm.
business and ADP. One opportunity after another with the roles and stuff like that. So
I wanna back up one step, and it's tied in what you said. It's not really part of your list, but, again, from my years of experience, you're talking about the importance that Carrie has in your life and Megan in my life and Hav and Bailey's life. If you are gonna embark on this journey of entrepreneurship, if you have a significant other in your life, I don't care if it's a boyfriend that you think is gonna be with you for a while, but definitely a spouse or a fiancé, please, please, please share your desires, your passions of what you want to do. You need a partner. You need to get their buy-in because let me tell you, there is absolutely nothing worse than to be passionate about this new idea. Right? I quit my
Mhm.
job. I'm putting everything into this new business. I've got this great business plan. Man, we hit the ground running. Things are going great. And your spouse is going, it's 5:30 and you're not home yet, or it's 5:30. Why are you still in your office working? We have our TV time together. You need to make sure your spouse, your significant other buys into this and make it clear to them. Look at again, we're going to work harder than anybody else for the next couple of years so we can live better than anybody else for the rest of our lives. If you don't get that buy-in, you'll never succeed. I don't care what happens
I
because
think
again,
it's actually a really relevant part of this step, though, too, because as we talk about implementing the product or service, right? Designing it, elements, who's going to make it, whatever it is, you also want to take that service idea, whatever it is, and go to your spouse or best friend.
yes,
Just have a person in your life who you can trust with this and say, poke any holes in this idea
That's
that
right.
you may have.
That's right.
If someone was selling this to you on the street or online, what questions would you have?
Right.
That is the best
Sample it among
sounding
your
board.
friends and so on and so forth. But I want to
Exactly.
caution you one thing. Be very careful with your spouse, right? It depends on the
Yeah.
relationship you have with your
Not it
spouse.
won't work every time.
It doesn't work every time, right? Because a lot of times your spouse will go, "Of course, honey, you're a genius. This sounds great." You don't get a true accurate. But I'll give you an idea in my personal life. I go to bed early, as all of you know. I try to be in bed 8 o'clock. I don't care if it's Friday or Saturday night because I love getting up early. The morning is when I have my best ideas. Friday night, we go to bed at 8 o'clock. Megan and I, we get up at 3 o'clock Saturday morning, and we're sitting out on our deck having coffee at 3:15. And the ideas is one of those mornings, they're just coming one after the other. And next thing I know, by 5 o'clock, I'm in front of the computer in AI modifying a business idea because we just clicked, right? Sometimes you have to go with that mode. It's like you hear athletes getting in the zone, right? It's like, man, I
Mhm.
can, if I'm a baseball
Yeah.
player, I can't do anything but hit a home run. I'm in that zone, or a golfer. In business, you'll find the same thing. Sometimes you just get in that zone and you'll connect with your spouse. But I've had it, I'll be honest with you, and she'll admit it. I've had other times where I'm like, honey, I'm really excited about this. Let me share this with you. And it goes in one ear, out the other. And then I get pissed off and I'm like, that was a waste of time. So, you have to go with the right moment, but have a number of people that you can test this with. That's my experience.
The advice, actually, I mentioned, I write about it in the book. It's social connection. That there's no reason, just because you work in solo doesn't mean you have to be alone.
Exactly. Good point.
Whether it's a mentor or a coach or your
Coach.
spouse or somebody you can just share those things with, but be really be consistent about sharing your wins and recognizing your wins, and not we'll get into a whole different topic on self-compassion and people being too tough on themselves. It's something I talk about in the book too,
Yep. That's me.
which can be a detriment.
Yep.
Also,
Absolutely.
too, you get even those negative opinions from your spouse, because if you don't, the first time that negative review or angry customer calls you, it is going to be a slap in the face if you haven't already been met with someone
Yep.
questioning you
Yep.
or
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
finding holes. So,
Challenging you.
as much as we love people to agree with us, especially our spouse, sometimes it is beneficial and we have to. Our Sanchez hard heads
Yes.
sometimes do get in the way, but sometimes it is good to have someone question you and find the negative aspects of it.
Absolutely. Poke
Yep.
holes in it. I love it.
Yep.
You got to do it. Well, Dennis mentioned a moment ago about his book. And again, this is an incredible ebook, The Rise of the Solopreneur. It's a north of 100-page, excellent ebook, easy read, but just chock full of everything we're talking about today times 100, right? It will get you up and running on your business in no time. And again, he's been kind enough to offer an overview of the book, a free ebook of the ebook, we'll call it. All you have to do is send an email
Such
to
a
Dr.
taste.
Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai, and he'll send you that copy of the overview. And then here in a few days, that ebook will be coming in your direction. And so it's a great way to go. And again, just to get everything rolling for you, because everybody needs that little kick, that initial, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. Well, you don't have that excuse anymore. You just got to follow the ebook and you're ready to launch.
If
All
I
right,
could
guys.
just say one thing
Sure.
about the book, it is for everybody. You don't have to be a technology expert. You don't have to be a business expert. It's for every man, every woman that has that desire. You'll find something in it. And we spend a lot of time talking about the people side and the experience, everything else, the emotions, the
Yes.
psychology, and everything behind being successful.
And if we can add in too, I highly encourage even high school students who might be graduating soon. You don't know what direction you want to go. It might not be an entrepreneur, but you might have some fun ideas that you want to test the waters with. Read it. Know that there's options out there other than the status quo.
Yeah.
So,
Well, to your point, again, great idea, right? You're a senior. You're like, I don't know. Do I go in the military? Do I go to college? Let's say you decide to go to college, but I don't know what I want. I mean, you remember Bailey. It's like dad's after you, like, go marketing, go business, et cetera. Okay, dad. Okay, dad. But you didn't really know how you were going to use it, right? No kid does when they graduate. But guess what? What if you had that carrot dangling out there, and as you grow intellectually, as you grow mentally, et cetera, as you progress through college, guess what? How would you have loved when you're getting it, like in your senior year, going, you know what? I know where I'm going. I've got this business. I can't wait to launch it. How many multi-million-dollar businesses have been launched when they're seniors in college? So many
Absolutely.
of them, right? Because it all
Absolutely.
starts to come together. And now you have a reason to go to school and get that
Yeah,
education.
absolutely. And as you both know, most definitely build a toolkit. Even if you want to go be a plumber or work for a plumbing company, have this in your toolkit because somebody else might approach you one day and you might be an expert in this area that
Absolutely.
they need it and you can use it on your own when you're showing up to the next house
You bet.
and you have to sell to be their plumber, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
keep your toolkit, grow it, learn different
Love it.
industries.
Love
It's
it.
so important.
Okay, so we left off on point number 5. We want to implement and deliver our product or service. Bailey, back to you on number 7. Announce your business and start marketing, right? You can have the best business idea, best plan, best everything, but if no one knows about it, what good does it do?
Well, let's say take a little step back before the initial announcement. Again, another pet peeve of mine is when I see somebody good on them for starting a small business. They go create an Instagram account for it. They announce it to all their friends. Something's coming soon. So exciting. There's not one post on there about even what the product or service is, but yet they want everyone
That's
to
a
go
great point.
follow this for the next big thing, right? Please, please invest. You don't even have to invest. Take your phone and go take some nice photos, create some infographics, put some content on your website, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, even if you're not ready to go on sale yet. Have some sort of context on there before you announce your business in the first place,
But,
please.
that's the thing that's the thing that's not fair with your generation, the social media generation, I call it. Man, Dennis, when you and I were younger, we wanted to start a business. Guess what? We took an ad in a phone book, or boy, the advanced thing was sending emails to friends and stuff. My God, your generation, Bailey, you can go
We
on
sent letters.
Instagram now, and some of you have hundreds of thousands of followers. You just told 100,000 people I'm launching this business.
But I'll tell you what, it has become so diluted because everyone
Yeah.
starts this process and they
Yeah,
don't execute it.
right.
And so I've seen so many people, and I've done it myself before, starting these small little businesses. And then you announce to everyone. And now you're used to seeing everybody announcing, here's this new thing coming, whatever it is, right? So that's
Mhm.
why I say when you announce, have something that people can see attached to and know, oh, they're coming out with this new clothing line. Can't wait to buy it. It looks great. I'll for sure buy when it's available. So going back to the process, when you announce, have decent content. You can take a photo with your phone, put some nice editing on it for free through your phone, through Canva. That is my go to when I need something quick done. Create good content. And if you have it available, hire a photography company for an hour. It'd be amazing the content that you
Yes.
can create within 1 hour that can drag out for months, right? Even doing a 1 hour podcast, you can clip that up and use that content for Lord knows how long for your marketing. So have a plan when you announce. Please have a plan. Again, go into ChatGPT. I did this the other day with the brokerage. Give me a 30-day social media plan. My brain was mush. It gave me again a 30-day social media plan. What to put in. What's relevant for a stock brokerage. So have your plan. Execute it and think about it when you look at it. If I saw somebody else posting this, would I be impressed or would this look mediocre to me? Be a critic of yourself. Doesn't have to be perfect, but
Or
do
test it
your
with a few
best.
close friends, right? Another way to do it.
Exactly, exactly. So, and it goes back to that other point. Have your website, have at least one social media channel, please. And nobody should have a question when they go to your page on how they buy your product or your service or what the next steps are. And if they do have that question, you've lost a customer most likely. It takes a lot to get somebody back to be interested again. So just have your plan. One website, one social media platform, and good content.
Little secret that I've, as you know, Bailey, I've instilled in you since you were a little tiny thing, and that is, and this is just my preference. When I start a business, I like to include in the name what the business does. I mean, today, Podcasters of America. There's no doubt what we do. We're a podcasting site in
Yep.
business,
Yep.
right? Sanchez got capital management. We manage clients, right? Dennis, you have done it in your business. Bailey, you've done it in your business. If you have big, multi-million dollars of marketing behind you, like a Google. Remember, guys, when Google came out? What the heck is a Google? Well, now it's
Hmm.
a household name. You
Right.
get
Yeah.
you better back it up. If you
A
create some
lot of
crazy
marketing to
thing
get there.
Wall Street, yeah, tends to do, you better have a bunch of money behind you to go out and market and tell people. If you want to make it real simple, which is what we're about, keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS principle. throw what you do in that, right? If you want to, sell, plants online, Sally's online discount plant sales, right? There's no question, right? It just helps in that marketing.
And I would say too, before you go live, please, and I've made this mistake before and I regretted it till the end, create your brand guidelines. And it is nothing more than picking your colors that you want to represent your brand. Sometimes fonts, sometimes those can be interchangeable, and one solid logo you use for everything.
There you
I've
go.
seen people create 5 logos because they want different designs. Stick with one. That will be your header for your letterhead when you write letters, emails, etc. And you can always branch off before that. Because guess what? When you look at Amazon's logo, you don't have to see the word Amazon to know what that logo
That's a good
is, right?
logo. That's
It
right.
has always been consistent colors. So build that. Build out your content from there. And then that way, when you go live and people see your product service for the first time, they recognize that blue, gray, and black. Oh, that is their colors, and I'll always recognize it going
Why,
forward.
why do you think corporate America spends hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on our brand, right, Dennis? It's all about it. And I love Apple, right? We all use Apple products on this podcast. The Apple ecosystem, right? It's like, I'm not gonna ever get a Google phone because I'm an iPhone guy, and that iPhone ties into my iPad, which ties into my, my MacBook, and on and on and on. That
Yeah.
it's all created by a brand, right? You want to
Yeah.
be a part of that, but you look at the
Yeah.
Apple, you don't think anything else Apple. Oh, it's Apple, the computer company.
And also that it's such a good point right there, creating a brand versus just your product or
Yes,
service. I had somebody reach out to me with my rodeo that I've had for 5 years. I've always tried to remain consistent. I've had one logo the entire time, no matter how many designs I build, because we have merchandise every year. Of course, someone sent me a photo not that long ago. They were down in Southern California at a concert, and they were able to spot our logo from across the venue on somebody's head and said, "Look, it's the Douglas County Rodeo." And that is exactly what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
Even though I
Yeah.
have an event,
Cool.
still think about branding. You want
yes.
to be seen all year long, even if it's a one-time deal. And so you want to be recognized no matter where you're at. Please remember that. Be recognizable.
Great point.
One thing I want to say, don't be overwhelmed by the thought of having to create a brand kit. I've I've created them in 2 seconds in Copilot and changed it when I developed your PowerPoint deck. All I did is plug in your logo and it created the whole branding. So it gives you the primary colors and you say, hey, give me the
Yes.
subprime colors and stuff too.
It's
Next
the
thing you
same
know,
thing
you
as
got this
picking
big.
out your outfit every day.
Yeah.
You put on a
Yeah.
pair of black pants and you're going to
Easy to
say,
do.
okay, black is the theme today with a hint of blue. It is the same thing when you build a brand kit. Find the colors you like, ask ChatGPT to create a logo with those colors, and that is it. On Canva, you can create brand kits for multiple brands. That's what I do.
I will say, and we all know this, all three of us, ChatGPT, I don't know about Copilot, Dennis, still lacks when it comes to graphics like building logos and things like that. I have struggled with that.
So
And
I will tell you.
well, let me
So
finish what I was going to say. So what I have done with the help of Bailey is we'll create the base logo in ChatGPT, but then what I found, I one of our charter businesses called Chasing the Tail Offshore Adventures LLC, and I wanted it to be fun, kind of cartoonish character, and so ChatGPT I would say made 60% of the logo. But Bailey, I think you were out of town or something. Like, I got to get this done. I was right in the middle of designing the business, and I went online to, I think it was Fiverr. There's a number of these where you hire a contractor. It cost me $150. I had some gal in Pakistan who was just a doll to deal with. We went back and forth for maybe 3 hours, and for $150, she created this most beautiful color logo exactly as I
Yeah.
wanted for
Yeah.
$150. Right. So
yes.
between AI and human, which she probably used AI, we had a beautiful logo.
Yes,
So
you can
I'm sorry,
use a company called freelancer.com as
I'm
well.
sorry, it was
And
That's
Freelancer. I
oh,
apologize.
there you go. Yeah.
Freelancer.
that's
There you go.
that's
That
the
was the
one
one.
I've used too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
also great too as you create your business. If it is a freelance job that people will hire you for, go on these websites. People will bid on the job
Yes.
and then you say, I'll take it, get the job done, and you can be on to the next. But what I
Plus,
was going to say too comes with a little bit of research is that with ChatGPT, they also have a software called DALI and they integrate it with ChatGPT. You can go in there through all, again, like I said, there's a library of GPTs that you can use based on what you want to do. So there's one for DALI and I can go in there and say, create me a flyer, whatever it is. And the imagery is better. But to your point, if that doesn't work, I'll download the best version that it creates for me. Go into Canva in your free account and you can move graphics around. You can change the lettering, whatever it is. It's not again, go into ChatGPT and say, how do I change this? And what software can I use that's free to update this graphic?
So I went to iStock
Hmm.
Never heard of
and
that.
Yep.
they have all kinds of logos that are editable. Then
Hmm.
I took it into Canva and
Yeah.
changed it around.
Yep.
Yeah.
I worked for a big corporation years ago, and they asked me to go create this commercial for them. They were a produce company. And I'm not gonna go, bring out high tech equipment, hire a company. I went onto stock photos, and I took their video clips. It was a nice family sitting at the wintertime at the dinner table, eating their delicious meal that included the produce that I was selling. You can piece these things together, and I think I paid a membership for it. It was like
Yeah.
$10 a month. There's resources everywhere, even if you don't ever want to pull out a camera.
And it's so perfect. The solopreneur. See, folks, what you're gathering from this is you no longer need to have an in-house marketing person. You don't need an in-house accountant. You don't need an in-house anybody. You can run this whole business with technology, AI, or things like Canva and some of these other companies. It can all be done for a very small amount of money. All right, we're gonna wrap up number 7. Dennis, we built this business plan. Now we got to gather feedback. We've got to iterate. We've got to scale. I hate using this word, gradually.
No, I don't agree with the gradually. So what that tells you, so that's a very conservative, fundamental way that the Copilot and ChatGPT would be thinking and
Right.
advising. It's good advice, right?
Right.
Because
right.
you get excited, then you all of a sudden you're spending a lot of money you didn't need to. Good comment, but you may not want to. It's really going to be up to you. But that feedback piece is, I would say 99% of the time it's missing in organizations. It's not only, and it's just, well, it goes back to the human element. We don't like to hear feedback.
There you go. I was just going to say, we don't like to be criticized. I am so guilty of that
And
one.
the thing is, when you're
Yeah.
a solo entrepreneur,
Yep.
you may not be used to getting feedback like that, like your product sucks, because you've had an organization. You blamed it on, the guy over
marketing
there. He made it.
department.
Yeah, it's going to be on
Always
you.
blame
That is
marketing.
one of those things you're going to have to, you'll have to deal with it. But it goes back to, as you'll see in my book, I talk a lot about the mindset. It's having the right mindset. What can I learn from Jon's feedback that he thought, that the service was terrible? What can I learn from that, and how can I fix it for the next customer? You just got to keep learning.
One
Absolutely.
of the biggest downfalls I've seen, even from local businesses around here, I've seen people create products and put them out, and they didn't want to listen to feedback, and now they have wasted so
Yeah.
much money in the last few years putting out, not to be disrespectful, the crappiest product I've ever seen, solely because you can tell they did not take feedback.
Yeah. And that's
And
ego.
they don't take it well.
Ego
Yep.
can be a friend or a foe when you're an entrepreneur. Again, one thing I've learned many years ago, when you're a solopreneur, you got to put your ego aside, right? You are there to serve your client, your customer, deliver your product. Put your personal ego aside. It's not personal, it's business. And when someone says, boy, I really wish you could, change this or do that. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. Don't go, oh, you're kidding me. You don't know what you're talking about, Mr. or
Yep.
Miss Client. Welcome it.
Yeah.
Welcome it. And as the
Yeah.
business grows, have an advisory committee, right? Some of your best customers or clients, bring them together and say, all right, 5 of you, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Get
Mhm.
that feedback. There's nothing wrong with that. So, folks, this is just one chapter of what we discussed today, how to become a solopreneur using AI. This is just one chapter of Dr. Dennis Sanchez's The Rise of the Solopreneur ebook. And so, once again, the offer that he has so generously offered is he wants to give you an overview of this book. Send him an email, Dennis Sanchez at performai.ai.
Dr. Dennis.
Dr. Dennis Sanchez at
We got to
performai.ai.
get this flashing on the.
We
Absolutely.
will.
And Bailey will put a link in the video here so I don't screw it up. And he'll send you the overview of the ebook and see if you want this, right? And I promise you, you
Yeah.
will, because it's over 100 pages of step-by-step of how to become the solopreneur. Once again, back to my avatar. Folks, think about this, dream about this. I do what's called, I'll give you another little secret. Your subconscious mind and, Dennis is the psych expert here, but my subconscious mind, whenever I want to start a business, I think about it 24/7. It's the first thought when I wake up. It's the last thought when I go to bed. It's in my subconscious. Your subconscious is working 24/7, and it is amazing what you can accomplish. Visualize, folks. What does this look like when you're sitting there? You're sitting again on the, again, Bailey and I dream about a Sprinter van, right? When these mobile offices sitting on a beach somewhere, I mean, or up in the mountains, and you got Starlink, and it's like you're at the top of the Sierras or Yosemite, and you're sitting there working for 3 or 4 hours. Then you're going to go for a hike for a couple hours and come back and make
Guess
some
what?
dinner.
I'm sitting in my sweats and my sweatshirt right now, getting to work
Yeah.
and bust my butt.
That's right.
But how many people would kill to be working in their sweats right now?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all very fortunate to be able to work remotely because we're entrepreneurs. We're not solo, but we're entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
this next new area of the solopreneur. Dennis, wrap it up with your pro tip, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Having that support around you is probably one of the most important things. We've talked about it already. We'll in other sessions, we're going to get into what's happening actually when we connect socially in this domain around AI, how it affects us, how it affects, the way we work, everything else. And it's actually pushing us towards being more social. It's a strange phenomenon when you think
Yeah,
about it.
it
This
is.
technology is making us more social, but that it's such an important piece to your business, not only getting the feedback, but just getting that support. Because everybody who's sitting here on this podcast would say you're going to go through some challenging times.
Mhm.
There would be times when you're going to question
absolutely.
yourself. If you don't do it, somebody's going to do it for you, saying, "What? Why did we do this?"
Yep.
That's just all part of it. But having
It
that
is.
that commitment and belief in yourself, and then having a support network around you that can lift you up when you go through the situation. Probably the best advice I could give anybody.
Absolutely. Well, like the way I opened the show, and I said, and I mean this from my heart, and I know Bailey and Dennis, you both agree, there has never been a better time to start a business. Never, thanks to AI. Learn it, know how to use it. It's not the answer to everything, but let me tell you, if you have an entrepreneurial fire burning in your belly, again, part-time, full-time, whatever it is, listen to our podcast each and every Monday with Dr. Dennis Sanchez, the AI doctor, and learn about this. Again, this is going to be our focus for at least the next month. You've got an ebook now available to you that you can have a step-by-step video courses and workbooks Bailey and Dennis are putting together. We're going to have everything there. Why? Because we are passionate. We want to hear the feedback from some of you in 30, 60, 90 days going, you know what, because of your podcast and your guidance, I left my corporate job that I was miserable at, and now I'm the happiest I've ever been. I have financial freedom. I have time freedom. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm changing society. I have a purpose, right? We all need a purpose. You mentioned this, Dennis, the purpose to get out of bed each and every day. Let me tell you, you pick the right business. I'm talking from my heart. You
Yep.
pick the right business. It's not work like you hear. It's a drive. It's a passion. It's a legacy that you want to create. You can't find that anywhere else except in entrepreneurship and our focus, the Solopreneurship.
I agree.
Bailey, great job. I love getting your
Yep.
perspective.
Yeah,
Dr.
thanks, guys.
Sanchez, as always, bro, honor to be with you, and so excited about having you on each and every Monday on Podcasters of America, the voice of America's small business, and we hope to change many of your lives. So thank you both so very much. It's been a blast.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.